Radaf Chof Gimel Amud Beis Hamevi Get, the last Mishnah in the Parak Sheni, towards the bottom of the page. Mishnah says, even the women who are not believed to say that their husband died, they're still believed to bring her get. So we mentioned the woman, her mother-in-law, and her sister-in-law, the daughter of her mother-in-law. Bitsarasa, her rival wife, the Yevimta, the wife of her husband's brother. Vasbaila, her stepdaughter, her husband's daughter. So the question is, Ma being get lemisa, what's the difference between a get and misa? When it comes to saying that her husband died, they're not believed. If by get, they are believed. So what's the difference? By get, where there's an actual document that she's bringing, that proves that she's saying the truth. A woman herself is allowed to bring her own get. She has to say, so the Gemara right away asks, it says in the Brisa, just like they're not believed to say that their husband died, so too they're not believed to bring their get. It's not a question. One is talking about Eretz Yisrael, one is talking about Chutz. But it's in Eretz Yisrael. She just brings a document. She doesn't have to say anything. She doesn't have to say so therefore she's believed. But she has a ksav in her hand. In Chutz, where we rely on her words, she's not believed. Very interesting. Abaye told him on the contrary, the opposite makes sense. In Eretz Yisrael, where if the husband is going to come and cause trouble, we're going to listen to him. So therefore, it's possible that she's trying to mess her over, her rival. She shouldn't be believed. But this is what this sort of Abaye is what the Yishami said. And Chutz, it's where if the husband is going to come to be ma'ader, we're not going to listen to him. She shouldn't be believed because she's not going to be makalko. The moment she says it's signed and sealed in stone. Tanika v'seida Abaye, there's a brisa that supports Abaye. A woman is believed to bring her get from a kavachomer. Her own get from a kavachomer. The woman. The Chobin said that they're not believed to say that so-and-so's husband died. They are believed to bring her get. She was believed to say that her husband died. And it didn't how much more so she should be believed to bring her get. Just like these women have to say, so too the woman herself is going to have to say, so we see clearly we're talking about Nechutz. There's a raya, there's a proof for Abaye. And Ravashi, but since we see from our Mishnah that we're talking about Chutz, because it says in our Mishnah talking about the woman saying it's a proof. So the Gemara now asks, according to Rav Yosef, the ratio and the sefer are talking about chutzar. In other words, the ratio, which is hakok shein lohavi as a get, because it says the summa is not allowed to bring a get, and the reason why the summa can't bring it is because you can't say b'fanach enough. And the ratio is not talking about the mission that we just read, but the mission before that. And the sefer is where the woman herself has to say b'fanach nichtav or b'fanach nechtav. But the mitziyosa, where we're talking about the 5 women who hate her, or rivals her. He's talking about in Chutz. The Gemara says, yeah. How do we know this? We didn't mention anything that she has to say. It's a raya that we're only talking about ksav. We're talking about purely ksav, and talking about Eretz Yisrael, she doesn't have to say anything. Okay, the next case. The woman herself brings her get. Isha says the Gemara, Isha michimote gita liyoda igushala. A woman, how can we say that she has to say something? The moment the get reaches her hands, that's the divorce already comes into effect. Says Rashi, even if she burns the get, she's already going to be a megureshes. The whole point of a fun to bring it is a raya, as a proof. So why does he have to say she's not a shliach? So this is the same shayla that we had in the Yerushalmi. He said only become divorced in a certain bezin. So she doesn't become a guresh just the moment the get reaches her hands. So even so, the moment she comes there, she reaches the bezin, so she'll become a guresh b'derech mamela. It's a t'nai, it's a condition. She's not a shliach, she's the woman herself. When you get there, put it on the ground and take it. Because then we don't say that Mafreya, the Gerushin happened the moment she received it. Didn't. She was a shliach le'elocha. So you have a problem. It's as if somebody said, take your get from the ground. It's nothing. You have to have a nesina from the Baal. The boy even nosem, says Rashi. He told her, you'll be the shliach to bring the get until you get to a certain place. When you get there, you yourself will turn into your shliach lekabbalah, to be makabel the get from you yourself. Frag the Gemara. Rashi explains a shliach is somebody, he sends somebody and he comes back to the mishaleach. She's not being sent back to the mishaleach because she herself, she's giving it to herself. She's switching, she's becoming one shliach and she herself is becoming another shliach. It has to be somebody else besides her. How could she be the shliach le'elocha and the shliach le'kabbalah? It doesn't make sense. You have to appoint somebody else to be a shliach le'kabbalah. Not you yourself becoming the shliach le'kabbalah. Says the Gemara, this makes sense according to the opinion that a woman is allowed to make a shliach le'kabbalah to receive from the shliach le'elocha from the Baal. But according to the opinion that you can't do that, that you can't do that, what are we going to say? The whole reason why we say a woman is not allowed to make a shliach to mekabel the shliach is bizoyin the Baal. He thinks that she's embarrassing him. She herself doesn't want to receive it, and he doesn't let. So the whole shliach is his shliach is going to be canceled. In this case, where he clearly said he doesn't mind, it's a different story. Says the Gemara, makes sense according to that reason. That the problem is bizoyin the Baal. That you buy the chotzer after the get is in the chotzer. That's considered chatzer haba liyachar mikein. So too in this case, it's like basically you might think if you say that she's allowed to appoint a shliach, the kabbalah from the shliach lehilocha, you might also think that you could buy the chotzer after the get is already there, and then to turn it from the chotzer for the Baal sent it to the chotzer that you can kabbalah. So because of that, they say you're not allowed. So what are you going to say? Says the Gemara, you will be the shliach le'elocha until you get there. Then you will appoint the second shliach le'elocha, and receive your get from him. So there's a way to do it. That's the case that our MIshna is talking about, a very technical case. He told her, be a shliach le'elocha until you get there. That you should He told her to be a shliach until you get to Bezdin. When you get there, you tell Bezdin, then Bezdin will make a shliach to take it from you. Okay. To eternity. Hadron Allah. That's the end of the perek. Let's do at least a little more. Try to do at least another majority of an amud. Just for a few more minutes, so we don't do too little. Keep the pace. Kol a get. Shenifter l'shum isha apostle. We're in this third parak now. Third parak. Kol get shenifter l'shum isha apostle. If a get wasn't for the sake of a woman, so it's possible it's disqualified. Kate said, say from passing in the marketplace, and you heard the voice of the wives who were writing a get. They were reading it out and they were saying the names. And he says, this is me and my wife. But you're not allowed to use it to be megarish. Yes, or mikain. More than this, of the garish v'nimlach matzu ben ido. More than this, if you wrote, divorce your wife, and then you change your mind, and you found ben imra v'amar le'shmi shimcha b'shem ishi k'shem ishacha, and you found somebody. You in other words, you wrote a l'shem gedushin. You wrote a get l'shem gedushin, and you found somebody in your town who has the same name, and his wife had the same name. Shmi k'shimcha b'shem ishi k'shem ishacha. Pasal l'garish boy. He cannot use it even though it was written for the sake of the game. Unlike the first. Yes, and Mikain, let's say you have two wives with the same name. That, by the way, that's probably not a good idea. If you wrote the get, the older one, the younger one. Yes, and Mikain, told the scribe to write that whichever, make it tonight, when you write it, a condition that whichever one I'm going to want to be megarish with it, I'll be megarish. Also megarish, but we don't say breda. We don't say b'shas. Freya retroactively was that you wanted to be megarish so and so. That we don't say. Says the Gemara, because of the garish sisra v'nimlach mechulu. You wrote to be megarish, and then you change your mind. And then you found somebody in the town who has the same name. So the Gemara asks, so what's the first case talking about? Where the Sifrim are reading, they're not writing it for a get. I'm going to pop up a Sifrim not saying this and we're talking about that they're not doing it for practical purposes. They're learning. It says makrin, that the professionals are helping these students. That's what makrin means, not koden. They're not reading their own work. They're helping others. Shema, we can learn from this. So they were doing it for the sake of helping. My yeser mikain. What's the yeser mikain when we say that if you wrote meganish? Not only the first case where it wasn't written for any gedish. Even this case where it's written for the sake of gedish. Also, it's disqualified. Not only the second case where it wasn't written for his Geddish and he wants to give it to somebody else, today, but even the case of his Geddish where it was written for his wife, he just wanted it to a different wife. It's a pretty crazy case. Whatever, you can make jokes about it. Also, it's disqualified. Not only the one where it wasn't written l'shem Geddish. In other words, you wrote it b'chlolos, and they both have the same name. You wrote the scribe. That's also possible. My taimo. What's the reason? Ikos of an osin sefer kusis biyodo. Have amina lamaute ha'ich kama deli av l'shum krisis. If he wrote, if it would say kos of an osin to write and give the same, you would think we would only exclude the first case. Not written for any krisis. Of a course of the goddess, but when you wrote to divorce your wife and you changed your mind, it was done for krisus, aim kosher. So Rahmana Vikosav, to teach you Vikosav, the extra vav teaches you that it has to be for your wife. Because Rahmana Vikosav, if it would just say Vikosav with the vav, it's excluding the case where the husband didn't write it for his wife. But if he has two wives and he wrote it for one, you might think it's kosher. Because Rahmana law. The Shema for her, for the sake of that specific woman, to say for lovely, what's the seifa? Hakamashval and Deim Bereda. He cannot retroactively say the Peshat's Ksiva you had in mind for so and so, for this wife. All right, let's do one more piece and then we'll stop for today just a little early. So not so long. Cause of the goddess, if you wrote to divorce your older wife, you cannot divorce your younger wife. So the Gemara's Medaik, Kitano who delay motzi megarish be hagadol motzi megarish be. The Kitano that you're not allowed to be megarish. You're allowed to be megarish the one that you originally had intended it for, and says Rashi, you don't have to worry that people will be choishish that maybe you had in mind for the other woman, because it's unclear. This teaches us that if you have two Yosef and Shimon in the same city, they're allowed to use a star choy for others, even though they're the same name. No, the one who's holding the star is the one that we assume belongs to. Abaye said, in the case where the husband and wife have the same name, but a different husband and a wife, only the second guy is not allowed to use it because it wasn't written for his wife. The first husband is allowed to. We said, the Gemara Maseches Bava Basra, you cannot be mitzi a star chayiv on them because they're not the ones holding the star. So in this case where you have two husbands, you could say it wasn't her husband who wrote it. It was a different husband. Maybe he threw it and she found it. It's different. So what are you going to say? If it doesn't work for Shtar Chayiv, why does it work for the get? We're talking about that there's Eidim who saw the get being given over. And it's Rabbi Lazar says Eidim Mesida Karti. So in the case, in the end of the Mishnah where he had two wives, we'll say it's talking of, there's only one guy with that name, but he had two wives. We'll say we're specifically talking about Eidim Mesida. Just like in the first case, we have to say we're talking about Eidim Mesida, so too in the second case. And that's why we're not choishish, because there was Eidim who saw the star being given over. Rav says, if her husband is kulon, all the gittin in our Mishnah, even though you're not allowed to use it to be megarish, if poil mamishi used the get, this woman is no longer allowed to marry a kohen. And married to a kohen, she can't remarry him. Except for the first case, the case of the scribes, where they didn't write it l'shem gedushin at all. So it's disqualified. But in the other, Reach Haget, says Rashi. It says, V'isha grusha V'isha yidim, she's only divorced from her husband. Shmuel Am Afarish, and Ami Pasal. Shmuel says even the first case is possible, the case where the scribes are just writing it. Pasal Shmuel Latame, Shmuel's going into his reasoning. Tomer Shmuel Kamalkim Shashanu Chum get Pasal. Any place where the Mishnah says a get is disqualified, it's not a good get. Pasal U Paisal. Pasal, so Paisal. Disqualifies you from the kuna. Chalitza psula if it's possible the chalitza, and it also, even though it's possible that she's not allowed to marry whoever she wants, she has to do another chalitza. She's also not going to be allowed to marry the brothers. Yes, in Eretz Yisrael, they said in the name of Rabbi Lazar, Shmuel, he did chalitza with the left foot. You're supposed to do it with the right foot. The Laila psula is faceless. We learn from Mitzayra that it has the right foot and it has to be by day. So if you did it by night, it's possible. She's not mutter's not allowed to marry whoever she wants, but it's also peselis from the Buhuna. Cotton, if you have a cotton, or if you have a sock, shulis vein places, and it's not a mamish nothing, but it doesn't do anything. You have to be a man in order to do chalitza, and you have to have a shoe. Zidi Omer Kulan in place in Chutz min opinion. He says, besides to the last case where we say Breid, that's the only case where she'll be possible to marry. But all the other cases don't have any issue. Only the last said, write it for whoever I want to give the get to. That's the only case where she'll be possible to marry or stay married to her husband. She's a queen. She got to get. Rabbi Yochanan says, and it seems like this is the law. Even the last case is not paisel. Ain Bereda. We're on the next page. We're 5 lines in on Daf Chaf Hey Amud Aleph. Rabbi Yochanan is going according to if you have to divide inheritance, it's as if they acquired it. Everything goes back to the way it was every year. So we see from here, Ain Bereda, we don't say that it's as if Yerusha was supposed to be split up in such a way. Rather, we say they acquired it from each other. Tzricha, we need to say it in both cases. The case of the Yerusha and the case over here. The Yitmar Bahal. We're going to say about the get. The Pasuk says Lo Lishma, so same. Over there, may say only a real sale that goes back by Yovel, but not a Yerusha Matana, not inheritance or a gift. We bring it back as a chumrah, as a strategy. But to be lenient and to say in a peitzel not, you'll say you have to in Yovel the way it was originally, that it belonged to one man before it was divided to the brothers. But here, maybe not. So both cases, same Bereda. Okay, I think maybe if it's okay, we're on Daf Chaf Hey Amud Aleph. Tomorrow we'll go back to normal.
Okay. Well, have a nice day.